Beautiful and graceful, her smile does not reflect the struggle she has been through. On one of the only warm days in February, I visited Mary at her home in Ossining, New York. Both of us desperate for some fresh air, we took a walk around her apartment complex. As always, Mary was happy and cheerful.
It's a heat wave, 40 degrees, people. Strip show.
Oh my God. Did you see? Mary's transplant journey began when she was just 2 years old. She was spending much of her time in the hospital, on dialysis, in desperate need of a kidney transplant.
Like if we're talking about my first kidney transplant, the first memory I would have is just taking a whole lot of medication and knowing that something wasn't right. I mean, who else around, 6, 7 years old has to take all this medication and the cyclosporin and all that kind of stuff. So in regards to my first kidney transplant, it was definitely that. But my second kidney transplant, or waiting for my second kidney transplant, I should say, like, I severely knew that something was wrong with my kidneys because I'll never forget when I was rushed to the emergency room because it was actually my right foot. Like, it was kind of like numb, tingly. I couldn't even walk on it. It was sharp shooting pains, and finally I spiked a fever, and I went to the emergency room, and of course they do the standard testing, and that's when the news came about that, number one, I had an infection in my foot, so I had to stay in the hospital for like antibiotics, IV, intravenously, and then they said that I only had about 10% function in my first kidney transplant left.
Wow.
So that's when it really hit home, but growing up, I always knew that, I knew because of the scars, because of the medicine, because of the other side effects that came along with the medicine, physically. So, so it's like different periods of your life, but like definitely waiting for my second kidney transplant, I was all the more aware and knowing, okay, these kidney beans are really important, otherwise, and I need a kidney transplant. I went on the national waiting list in February of 1995, and I hope you don't mind me segueing into this, but at that time, the list nationally, people waiting for a transplant, just waiting for a transplant, a life-saving transplant, whether it be heart, liver, kidney, pancreas, all these kind of organs, it was 40,000. Now it's over 125,000.
Wow.
So huge difference. But anyway, it was February 1995. I was put on the national waiting list, and then May 5th, 1995, I received the gift of life from a 4-year-old organ donor, both of her kidneys, pediatric. Really, there are no words to express how blessed I am, how thankful I am, and how every day I just want to honor her and her family, and just so incredibly grateful, and just like the magnitude of gratitude I have for them, there aren't even words, and thank you is not enough. Well, I love to volunteer with New York Organ Donor Network, every other organization when it comes to transplantation and organ donation transplantation, because when you are given this gift of life, you just want to pay it forward, and you just want to make a difference, because you have a whole new lease on life. When you're so sick, and then all of a sudden you just, are able to just live, you just want to give it forward. So I'll go to like registry events, to promote organ donation transplantation, because in New York State we have the lowest rate of registered donors. It's like people say yes, they're like, yeah, I believe in organ donation transplantation, but they don't take that action to physically say I am an organ donor, and to like share it openly with their family, to say I'm a registered organ donor, and there's nothing to be ashamed about that because you're saving a life and you're giving life. So it's registry events, it's public speaking and events to share a story, because everyone has a story to tell, and the more of us as transplant recipients, candidates waiting for a transplant, share our story, the more awareness there is, the more education that we can provide to people to know this is what's going on, and it's not just affecting me, but it's affecting my entire family, it's affecting all my friends, it's affecting life every single day, and just trying to live life every single day. And, you know, writing has always been my outlet. I wrote my book, All My Sordid Affairs, Confessions of a Kidney Transplant Recipient. And again, it's just telling that story and just not being afraid to really share it. And I know for me, like after my second transplant, because it was a rough age, it was, you know, I was 12 years old, and all I wanted was to belong. I wanted to just totally forget I had a transplant and just be like, okay, whatever, it was nothing, let me move along my merry way, and just like nothing happened. But then I attend the transplant games, and it's like you meet all these people and you hear all these stories and all these organ donor families, and we're still grieving, and these transplant recipients are just so incredibly grateful and just value every single day. And you're like, you know what, it's no longer about me, it's about our community, and it's about putting our community out there and bridging, like having a bridge between our community and the public, knowing what organ donation transplantation, what it really comes down to, and like demystifying those myths, like getting rid of those myths and misconceptions and all of that. So explain, in the United States we have a system where we have to choose to register as an organ donor. So in other countries, like in Europe, they're already registered organ donors, and they have the choice to opt out. So to break it down, we have an opt-in system in the United States. Other countries, they have an opt-out system. I think it would make a huge difference if we had that kind of system implemented, meaning the opt-out, you know, system. That would be a huge way to increase the organ donation and the registration. Well, registering as a life-saving organ donor, it is giving that permission. It's saying, when I die, I am giving that permission to donate all organs or specific organs, because if you look at the enrollment form to register as an organ donor, it's very, very, very specific to your personal choice and decision to register. Many people, there's this myth that if you sign the back of your driver's license, that's enough to register as an organ donor, and it's not. You specifically have to register either through the New York State Department of Health or through there's donatelife.org, where it shows up all the states, because each state, they have different criteria. But so anyway, the whole point is that you're giving that permission and having it in a registry, having it in there, so the time of your death, they will see that. But more than that, more than registering, filling out, you need to tell your family members and your friends, because you need to tell your loved ones, because they are going to be in that position to say, you know, to say, okay, yes, we give that permission to, yeah, go ahead, you can donate the organs, or no. And if your family and your loved ones, they know, that takes their grief level to completely, like, it downgrades it to, like, they know what you wanted. And we need to have that open discussion, because well, I have not met either of them. Recently, within the last year, I found out from my first organ donor that he was a male out of New York State. that was the only information they were able to provide. And for me, it's a miracle they even found that information, because my first kidney transplant was on January 30th, 1987. There's no Google, no internet, no cell phones, none of that kind of information. So that to me is a major blessing and unbelievable that they're able to locate that information. My second kidney transplant, a 4-year-old organ donor, her family, now mind you, I wrote to my second organ donor family like 13, 14 years later, because when you're 12 years old, trust me, I was like, wow, it's unbelievable. But as, like, for me, as I got older, I really realized the magnitude of really what happened. So I wrote to them years later, and the New York Organ Donor Network, now they're called Live On New York, the OPO, the Organ Procurement Organization, they said that they located her mother, my 4-year-old organ donor, her mother, but she did not want to receive any of my contact or any correspondence at all. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first got that news, I was devastated. But then I can completely understand from her point of view, because it was her 4-year-old daughter, and it was a tragic occurrence that happened. Like, a mirror fell on her daughter. I don't know, obviously, what happened. Like, did she die right away? I mean, they don't give you those details for confidentiality purposes. But I can completely understand and see it from her mother's point of view and from her entire family's point of view. It's a very delicate situation. I dream of meeting both of my organ donors' families someday. I think the moment that I first see her, I wouldn't even have words. And I'm a very chatty person, so I think I would just be absolutely speechless and wordless, and I would just hug her so tight that there aren't even words to express that. And it just sounds so insignificant. I would just say thank you, and thank you is not enough. It's not enough, because it's because of her decision, because of her family's decision, their time of grief, that this life has been amazing, and the journey has been incredible. And I would just hold her and be there with her, and just, let her take the lead, because she already, they already made that decision. And I don't know what I would say, to be honest, except thank you. But like I said, it's just never enough. Those two words. Because this year, 2015, May 5th, 2015 to be specific, it's the 20th anniversary of my second kidney transplant. And like I said, started planning a year ago, and it's just a big celebration of life and living, and it's going to be to honor my organ donor and her family, and just being there in one room with all my loved ones and family and friends who have just touched my life astronomically. And it's just been an incredible journey. Like, when I was making up the list, I'm like, wow, look at all these people I met, all because of my organ donor and her family, and all the experiences that have been absolutely amazing. So it's going to be very emotional, I think, because it's going to be very happy, we're going to dance, we're going to shake it, okay? But it's also going to be very, very bittersweet. And I call it the fuchsia phase, actually, or fuchsia feelings, where you cannot pinpoint one particular feeling. Like fuchsia, it's like all kinds of colors. So you can't pinpoint one emotion, and it's just going to be all encompassing. And it's just a real big gratitude, kidney bean bash excitement. And I'm also hoping that whoever comes, if they're not registered organ donors at the point, that they will become registered organ donors. So trust me, I'm going to be including enrollment forms for all of them, for each person that comes to sign up.
On May 5th, 2015, Mary celebrated the 20th anniversary of her second kidney transplant. Woohoo! Congratulations, Mary.